How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of Sally Creative Design. In this episode I'm going to show you how I use clipping mask in order to make cool simple effects on my designs that make them stand out a lot. We're going to look at one of my designs that overall is a really simple design, but I use in this design specifically, I use this clipping mask effect that I love to use on a lot of my designs to make them stand out, and I'll show you how I went about doing this. If you do like this tutorial, make sure to like the like button, and also if you like this tutorial and you want to get more in depth on other Photoshop tutorials, make sure to check out my website, Sally Creative Design. The website is right here. By now it has already launched, or it's about to launch in a week or so, so you want to check it out. If you like this tutorial, I'll have more in-depth tutorials in that website about not only Photoshop tutorials but also the business end of graphic designing. But yeah, without any more wait, let's get to the tutorial. So right here in Photoshop I have this design that I created for my client, right? And it's a really cool design. It's a really simple design and it stands out, and what makes it stand out is that triangle, the background triangle that has the red and yellow gradient. Now I'm going to show you how I use clipping masks in order to make that triangle, which makes it stand out. But first, if we turn off the triangle, I'm going to turn it off right here. You're going to see that when I turned it off, it's just a regular design with text and nothing that makes it special. But when I turn it on, it stands out a lot. Now there are two things that I did to this to make it stand out. First, of course, I created the triangle using the pen tool. That's on another tutorial. I'm not gonna go over the pen tool in this tutorial. But after making the triangle, what I did is that I added a clipping mask for the yellow color. So what I did is that I'm going to undo these clipping masks. I'm going to undo this clipping mask and I'm going to grab the color yellow. So what you want to do with the clipping mask is that you want to create a new layer down here on the bottom right. Create a new layer, then you want to right click on it, and then you want to click on create clipping mask. After you create the clipping mask, you'll see that the clipping mask is created because you see this arrow pointing down to the layer that is the clipping mask is being added to. And then after that, I just selected the brush tool. I made it really big and hardness 0, and then I just started painting like so, just a little, you know, like that. And now that's the gradient that I created, but that's not it, because I wanted the gradient to be uneven, to have just weird shadows and shapes of shadows, just like on random places. I don't like my gradients to be even all the time. So in this case scenario, I didn't want it to be even, so I was thinking, how can I make it uneven? How can I make my gradient uneven? And what I did is that I grabbed the base image, which I'll show you right here. I grabbed the base image. I grabbed the base image, which is this one right here. I grabbed the base image, and then I simply added a black and white effect. So to do that, I just went up here to image adjustments, and then black and white. I added the black and white, and then I wanted to blur it, because I don't want the image I don't want the audience to be able to tell that it's an image. I want to blur it so it gets all distorted. The goal with this is to distort the image. So I added a Gaussian blur by going to filter, blur, then Gaussian blur. Right here you can add the Gaussian blur. I'll add, say, 6.8. and then after adding the Gaussian blur, all you want to do is that you just want to drag down your image to well, either drag down or right click and then press on create clipping mask, and it goes in the clipping mask where the yellow color was created. Now after that, all I did is that, okay, so I see that it's like a metallic type of gradient now, and that's just the image itself, just black and white and added a Gaussian blur, and it already created like a cool metallic pattern. That's not what I'm going for. I'm going for that yellow and red gradient. So what I did is that I just set it to multiply, and then I lowered opacity right here to around 35. You could do 35, 40, not 35, because I don't want it to be too obvious. I want the effect to be there, but to be kind of low key, kind of like my shadows, you know, like I'm here but I'm not, I'm here but I'm not. That's kind of like how I want this effect to be. So I did 35, and then if I bring back the other elements, you can see that right there. You see how much it helps, and it's so simple. It's just the base image, which is the image that I use as a background, the same image that I used to create this effect. So that to me is really cool, because I'm just recycling the image in the same design, and I'm using that image to create all the different effects. So in a nutshell, it's only one image and 2 fonts, a logo, that's it. And the rest is just all Photoshop, all just Photoshop effects, Photoshop colors, Photoshop. But that's it. Just the logo, of course, because it's on the bottom right. But even you can take out the logo, and it's just 2 different fonts and the image that the client sent me, and that's it. That's all I use to create this design. And it's not crazy. It's just, you just gotta figure out the little things that make it stand out. In this case scenario, I brainstormed and I'm like, okay, I want this the text to stand out, so I'm going to create a border around it or behind it, but I need that border to work with the text and in order to make it stand out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a gradient. And then after I created the gradient, I'm like, nah, I need to, this is just too even. It's just too straightforward. I want to make it somehow like to break it from like all other designs that just use gradients, just simple gradients. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna use a clipping mask, make the image black and white, distort it by adding some blur, and then set it to multiply and lower the opacity to like 30, 35, 40, and that's it. That's how I went about creating this effect. A really simple effect, and it'll make a design stand out. You just gotta try to use this effect on your designs, and then you gotta know when to use it and not to overuse it, you know. So that's how I use a clipping mask in order to create simple effects. This is just one way that I use clipping mask in order to create effect that is kind of like metallic, and it helps me break gradients. I use this effect on designs every now and then, especially designs like this. As you saw, it's really simple. It's a really simple design once it's broken down. It's just like I said, like it's just 2 fonts, 1 image, that's it. The rest is just Photoshop. No textures that I imported, no nothing. Like I created everything from that base image. So that image, that pattern thing that breaks the perfect gradient and adds a little shadow here and there, that's just the base image of the client. Just black and white, added Gaussian blur, set it to multiply, made it to 30, 35, and that's it. And you don't need to use the base image. You just gotta find an image that has a lot of lines, a lot of shadows, a lot of highlights. One thing that I like to use a lot when I'm working with text or any shapes or something, and I need to create uneven gradients and stuff like that, I like to use images of buildings. And because buildings have a lot of lines going left, right, and like everywhere, and there's a lot of shadows because of the windows and stuff like that, so I like to grab an image of a building, not a whole skyline, just one building, and then it can be either a close-up or the point is for the building to have a lot of lines, to have a lot of shadows and stuff like that. And once you find that, you just make it black and white. You throw some distortion on it, be it a wave effect or a Gaussian blur or whatever effect you like to distort the image with. Create a clipping mask, add a little multiply overlay or whatever you want, lower the opacity, and there you go. You just create a cool effect. No need to plugins, no need for any like extra crap. It's just you playing around with Photoshop, creating cool effects and making your design stand out. So hopefully this tutorial helped you out with seeing how I use Clipping Mask to create cool effects. If you like this tutorial, make sure to hit the like button. If you have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comments below. If you want me to go over any other special effects that you see me use on my designs, make sure to leave those questions in the comments. And if you want to learn more about Photoshop, more in-depth tutorials about the techniques that I use, this is just a simple technique, but if you want to learn more in-depth tutorials, make sure to check out my website, Sadly Created Design. The website link is going to be right here, so make sure to go to that website. I'm going to put all the master tutorials there. And yeah, until the next.